For once, let's cut to the chase on this one.
This has a 4.4 litre twin-turbo V8 kicking out 592 brake horsepower and 516 foot-pounds of torque. 0 to 62 is 3.9 seconds and it tops out at 189 miles an hour. This is the BMW M6 competition package and this is how it sounds. Oh, and that isn't just all bark and no bite. This thing feels as good as it sounds. Those 592 horses doing their work. Oh, this car has the stats to keep up with pretty much, well, frankly, a supercar. And although you wouldn't call the M6 that, it's damn well as close to it in terms of performance. Whoa. This is the competition pack, which adds about 20 horsepower over the standard M6. And I think you'd be hard pushed to notice the difference. And at 7 grand plus extra for that option, it might be a little bit more than you need to, but the total overall package is an incredible car. I mean, we're used to getting cars of this kind of performance delivered to us with a full raft of driver aids to keep you planted on the road, and you know, frankly, that's a good thing. These cars are bought by people who don't necessarily have racing driver credentials, and they need to be safe for, well, anyone to be able to jump into and drive without being thrown off the road. But what's important is that you still feel in control, that you still feel like you're actually driving the car. And the driver aids that are keeping me planted in this car are practically invisible, making me feel just that edge, just that little bit of slip, just that little bit of fear. All the driving modes are a la carte, so you can dial in exactly what aspects of the car you prefer to be in comfort and which aspects you prefer to be in sport or sport plus. If you prefer a firmer ride, that's definitely an option, where if you want to keep the throttle response sharp, you can do that. The 6 Series has always been a car aimed at people who may have been interested in a 5 Series, but put more emphasis on performance, speed and style, and maybe to the detriment of practicality. But if those things are what you care about, the 6 Series has always delivered, and the M6, well, that really is a perfect embodiment of what M cars should be. This car, if you give it the chance, will spin up the rears right the way through the gears, and the various decreasing modes of traction control let you have that little bit of slip. And it's that little bit that gives you that real feeling of driving back, that real feeling of being back in control, while there still is that safety net underneath. There's no way a car with this kind of horsepower could be sold to a mass market without those driver aids. But BMW have done an incredibly good job of making them invisible, keeping them in the background and making you feel like you're pushing this thing yourself to its limits. Of course, you can turn them all off as well, which for the braver driver in a more controlled environment is the option to get the best out of this car. But my word, this thing is outstanding. It is way too easy to get this kind of speed. One of the things that I love most about the 6 Series isn't necessarily about what the car is, it's what the car reminds me of. It is the only car left in the BMW range that makes me remember one of my favorite cars from BMW out of its entire history, the 8 Series.
The 8 Series was launched in the 80s, aimed at customers who wanted the performance to challenge Ferraris of the day. There was even an M version planned that would have had a V12 engine and would have possibly been the greatest car BMW had ever made. It was never to be though, and the engine that would have powered that beast ended up in something else. The McLaren F1. Looks-wise, I've always been a fan of the 6 Series Coupe. It doesn't have the typical BMW look, but retains just enough design cues to keep it firmly in the stable. The pinched front, the forward-leaning stance and the fastback rear, it's a really handsome yet aggressive look. It might be one of my favourite looking BMWs in their current lineup. I like BMWs, but the 2, 3, 4 and 5 Series all have that very Beamer look that still carves a handsome silhouette, but by now has become a bit old. The 6 Series though just has its own presence that sets it aside from its stablemates.
For me, the M6 competition pack could be seen as a living descendant of the M8, a car that never was, and it certainly has the power and performance to trouble any of the Ferraris from back in the day, and to be fair, almost any supercar on the road right now. The aggressiveness, the handling, the feeling of being in control but on the edge make this one of the most exciting cars to get from A to B right now, and I absolutely adore it.